Oh no! It's Halloween, and I don't have any candy somehow! The only thing in the house is my personal collection of the oddest and strangest Halloween specials I could find. What am I gonna do?
Well, I'll tell you what you're gonna do. You're gonna give me 50 push-ups right now.
What the hell are you?
I'm the headless gym coach.
The headless gym coach.
Is there an echo in here?
You are literally the last thing I would ever expect right now. I'm doing a thing. I have a problem.
You sure do. If you don't give me 50 right now, I'm gonna hit you with my pumpkin dodgeball.
That doesn't sound too bad.
I always keep it a little deflated, so it leaves a huge welt when it hits. What do you think of that?
This is the top 13 weirdest Halloween specials. Witch's Night Out. This one's kind of a sequel to The Gift of Winter, that low-budget Canadian production I talked about in another video. The budget is clearly bigger this time, but you still know you're in for a trip as soon as you hear that weird, just-invented Casio synth music. And I do love the unique, janky 70s art style. It's like coming across one of those old Halloween door hangers in the attic, the ones with the posable limbs held together with those little metal rings. They're all torn up and faded and smell funny, but they're just so awesome. Come on, they just don't make them like this anymore. Story's pretty straightforward, though. Small and Tender are two kids that aren't having a very happy Halloween. All the adults are acting like sticks in the mud.
I mean, one wouldn't want to see grown-up adults running around in silly costumes.
Everyone recognizes them through their costumes, so they can't scare anyone.
Why, it's Small and Tender. Oh, don't you look cute? Did you hear that? Cute!
Oh, no, she didn't.
Plus, they're getting some really crummy treats.
What are they? What are they? Sardine meringue.
Meanwhile, a local witch is also lamenting the lack of the Halloween spirit in her own town. But she sees an opportunity for mischief when the locals decide to throw a "we're too good for Halloween" party in her supposedly abandoned house. She kills two birds with one stone when she hears Small and Tender wishing that a fairy godmother would appear and make them real monsters for Halloween.
If we had a fairy godmother, she could change me into a real ghost and a real wolfman.
Well, there's really no such thing as a fairy godmother.
Yeah, it's not like the Bureau of Winter. She turns the kids and their babysitter, Bazooey, into monsters. Sounds like a great idea. Until the townsfolk form an angry mob, the witch gets her wand stolen, and the kids can't turn back to normal.
We won't be able to, relate to others.
But after things get worked out, the town has a newfound appreciation of the witch's magical abilities, and the reason why Halloween is so important to kids and adults.
This is what Halloween is all about, my darlings. Every day we go about our lives in the same old way. But once a year, we can be whatever and whomever we please. Pretend. Let your secret fancies run wild.
Also, this makes the list for one highlight. Medusa vampire in a black bikini. That happened. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Even though this is just a 13-minute short, this has got to be one of the most interesting versions of Sleepy Hollow I've ever seen. Starting with the art style. There are no set colors, but rather scenes and characters that are meant to be well lit or upbeat are all colored with bright complements, which makes the characters pop and show off their personality. Dark or more dramatic scenes use cooler colors or monochromatic hues. Paired with the rough and busy line work, this is a sight to rival Ichabod Crane himself. He's the goofiest thing I've ever seen, just as Washington Irving intended. He kind of looks like Grandpa from Hey Arnold. Speaking of which, this is the first version to show that Ichabod is, well, kind of a jerk. He'll straight up snatch pies off windowsills and extort meals from families of his students. Ichabod wasn't exactly a saint in the Disney version, to which most people hold as the standard. He was gluttonous, greedy, and I ain't saying he a gold digger, but he ain't messing with no broke Quakers. But still, he was charming and talented, and he did seem genuinely smitten with Katrina instead of just her inheritance. And every version since seems to paint Ichabod in a better and better light, with more and more liberties taken. Now he's a hunky time-traveling soldier for George Washington, who has to stop the apocalypse and maybe get a little Dutch cocoa on the side.
Here's a scene from the Fox version. Booty, booty, booty! Yeah, boy!
Problem is, we treat Ichabod as an underdog hero of the story. But this really isn't a story. It's gossip. It's an old Dutch wives' tale, modeled after old Dutch wives' tales. It's meant to build speculation. Was Ichabod Crane a gentleman or just some prowler? Was Brom Bone the horseman? If he was, did he just scare Ichabod away, or did he straight up murder him? The story gets as dark and as supernatural as your own mind allows it. And of course, it helps when you have John Carradine of Universal Horror fame to narrate it.
There are some who say that this enchanted region was bewitched by a high German doctor. Others say that an Indian wizard held his powwows here. The whole neighborhood abounds with local tales of haunted spots and twilight superstitions, and the most fearsome spirit of all, the Headless Horseman.
So really, what makes this version so unique is that it stays so close to the source material. A wonderful work of meta centuries ahead of its time. No wonder lit majors have such a Brom boner for it. Jack-O-Lantern. Rankin Bass has made its fortune producing holiday specials, most of which are considered beloved classics even to this day. You know, by people who have at least a sand grain of joy and decency in their souls. It's interesting that this selection is not really a special in the tradition that they are known for, but rather a Halloween episode of a series they produced in the 1970s called Festival of Family Classics. Rankin Bass's own takes on old fairy tales and literary classics. Kinda missed the story about how the first Jack-O-Lantern was really a leprechaun that transformed himself into a pumpkin seed, so he could hide his pot of gold.
And a fine rest I was having, till you come hacking away at me boudoir with your carving knife.
Gosh, Mr.
Jack-O-Lantern is the name of the Donegal O-Lanterns, I'll have yous know.
And I really love Halloween. A lot. I mean, to the point where I study as much as I can about it. And if you remember from my Samhain video, Jack-O-Lanterns were originally made out of turnips.
Boy, I really hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
That's the grandpa, retelling the story about how he met Jack-O-Lantern.
Ah, there's my father now. Poor man, trying to coax a meager crop from the stingy soil. You see him?
Yes. Yes, I can see him.
Grandpa, I don't like it when you mentally project images in my head. It gives me nosebleeds.
You hush up.
He tells them about how poorly the family farm was doing, and that the only solution they could come up with is to make a better scarecrow. Like I said, it turns out the pumpkin was really a leprechaun. Makes a little sense. Jack-O-Lantern carving is said to have originated in Ireland, where they were used to scare away evil spirits and guide people home. But when a large immigrant population relocated to America, they found the large hollow gourds preferable to the dense turnips and beets they were using. Did I mention evil spirits? Well, it turns out a witch and her army of ghosts have been terrorizing local farmers because, you know, they're evil. Well, if they think they can keep pulling this crap now, then they don't know Jack. I love this guy. He's like a superhero. He's got a trick to counter each and every one of the witch's moves. My favorite part is when he uses his own straw as throwing needles.
You'll never beat my secret technique.
What is this secret power? Last time this happened, he destroyed a whole kitchen.
So with the help of Jack, the baddies are scared away, and the farm has been successful ever since. I'm almost certain this is an original story and not part of traditional folklore. But it's still fun. Not historically accurate, but it combines all the key traits of what a Jack-O-Lantern represents. If you ask me, Jack-O-Lantern should have become the official mascot of Halloween. Or, you know, at least gotten his own comic book.
Your ancestors called it magic, and you call it science. Well, I come from a place where they're one and the same thing.
The Devil and Daniel Mouse. This is based on The Devil and Daniel Webster, which was based off The Devil and Tom Walker, which is based off... Okay, you know what? The devil gets around is what I'm trying to say. Even offering fame and fortune to a down-and-out singer in exchange for her soul.
My card, pretty lady. Homemade Care Music Production. Yellow Bob, President.
It's a pretty simple story that's been told before and since. But this is Nelvana, who were rock stars themselves when it came to holiday specials in the 1970s, which means you're going to get some amazing visuals and charismatic animation. Just look at this entrance. Man, I love this devil. A shapeshifter with a chilling voice.
I like your style. Too bad you're not a singer.
Oh, but I am. I am a singer.
No fooling.
No, listen.
Fantastic. Different.
So if you're saying, that sounds great, what's so weird about it? Then you haven't noticed the exposed chest. That's not brimstone you smell. That's patchouli oil. Kiss makeup, afros, stacked perms. This was made just before 1980. So I guess they had a big jar of the 70s they had to use up. Also, they win the trial by making everyone feel good.
You sold your soul for some rock and roll, but don't you see? Nothing beats inspiration, and inspiration's free.
Yeah, this is straight out of Daniel Webster. If you haven't read it, Webster's defense was basically, freedom is awesome, so you should let this guy off scot-free. Yeah, no. I actually think this was done a lot better here.
Your Honor, I say that music can save your soul, and a song from the heart beats the devil every time.
Crazy! I declare you free!
Here it's an ironic idiom that works. Amazing animation, catchy music, and a major nostalgia trip. If you ask me, this sounds like one hell of a deal.
Can I trust you?
Disney's Halloween Hall of Fame. Remember Disney's Halloween Treat? That special made of old shorts and movie clips cobbled together? They used to show it all the time on Disney Channel, and about a half a dozen variations on it. One time it was hosted by a foam pumpkin, then it had a rendition of the Magic Mirror by the original Captain Hook himself, Hans Conried. It was even hosted by the Master of Darkness himself, Mike Eisner.
Hey, will you sit down, please? You're blocking our view.
Sorry, Mr. Eisner. Excuse me. It'll never happen again.
The formula was popular because it was cheap and easy to make. All you needed was a bunch of recycled footage and some editing software on your Amiga. But the first and best time they did this was in 1977 with Disney's Halloween Hall of Fame, starring a recently late but undeniably great Jonathan Winters. Winters plays a security guard at Walt Disney Studios who wanders in an old prop department, which gives him the excuse to display the prop comedy that made him famous.
I wonder what Margaret Jean put in the thing.
She put a live bird in there.
Thing ate my banana, ate the peanut butter sandwich. How'd that thing get that thermos open?
Convenient, yes. Cheesy, maybe. But who's gonna complain after Smurfs 2? But during his shtick, he comes across a crystal ball, harboring a Halloween spirit. Also played by Jonathan Winters, in makeup and a big old foam pumpkin head. And if you think that's strange, he actually tries to arrest him. So, turns out the reason why Jack is hiding out is because he actually hates Halloween.
There's nothing scary about Halloween. Not these days, anyhow. Not like it was in the old days. Yeah, we had real ghosts then. Real goblins. Not this dime store stuff you have today. The only thing scary about Halloween is the cavities kids are gonna get from all that candy.
Wait, he's complaining about the commercialization of Halloween and decided to hide in Disneyland? John, however, defends Halloween, and the debate between the two becomes the framing device for shorts like Trick or Treat and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
A real witch wouldn't be caught alive on a broom.
Quiet. I want to watch this.
Now you might be thinking, wow, that's really kind of distracting. Why couldn't they just have another actor be the pumpkin? Well, no, because they need John to be both characters. Because at the end, Jack swaps his head with John's and traps him in the crystal ball. And I guess John is okay with that.
Well, it looks like he's gonna have a nice Halloween after all.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's nice to see the effort of a legendary talent elevate what's basically a clip show. He pulls a gun out on a spook, won't let anyone badmouth Halloween, and he delivers a great performance. Thanks for raising our spirits, John, and rest in peace.
Incidentally, if you should see Mr. Pumpkinhead on your block tonight, tell him he better be back before midnight, or else, who?
Marc Summers' Magical Mystery Tour. Mystery Magical... come on, you know what they were going for. Marc Summers, best known for being the enamoring host of Double Dare and Unwrapped, starred in a little Halloween special produced by Nickelodeon in 1986, which was, I don't know, just kind of weird. It's like, oh hey, it's the Double Dare guy, and he gets a flat tire and locked in a haunted theater with 3 random kids. And yeah, I know that's the late Jonathan Brandis. He was also the voice of Mosenrath, but no one ever talks about that. And Mark is looking under books to find a phone and... oh. Well, I feel foolish. So the special is Mark and the kids trying to get out of this creep show.
This place is like a bad dream.
But every so often they come across a magician, stop, and watch their act without interrupting. Basically, the point of this was to get prominent magicians together in one place. I actually remember seeing this magician do her act on a late-night talk show once. Tina Leonard plays a maid that is wooed by her mop that comes to life. Kind of like Mannequin, but not long enough to wear out the premise. At one point, Mark disappears, only to reappear as part of a magical act. Turns out he made friends with Lance Burton, the mysterious owner of the theater. After he spends about 20 minutes scrutinizing the kitchen staff. Because Marc Summers is producing Restaurant Impossible now, and... yeah.
This place is a dump.
Well, he should have told Bert that intentionally causing breakdowns to play tricks on small groups of non-paying customers is not an effective business model. He even scares away one of his own acts.
There are too many weird things going on around here. See what I mean? I don't know who you get to replace me, and I don't care.
Well, we got a maid that cleans up real well. Yeah, that's John Aston, but he's only there for like 20 seconds of screen time.
Excuse me, sir, do you have a phone we can use?
Help yourself.
But that's not the biggest waste. At the end, some guy says he ran out of gas and asks to use the phone.
Help yourself.
Uh-oh, freeze frame of smug foresight. Turns out that was Stan Allen, founder of Magic Magazine and stage performer in his own right. But he doesn't perform one trick. There's a lot of odd, out-of-place things about this special, and random goat shot. Is that something dirty? That sounds like it would be something. And to be frank, no one was going to win any Oscars.
That was fantastic.
But it has a lot of atmosphere, and most of the magic acts hold up after all these years. It's no wonder this became a staple of Halloween programming for years. I just wish I could understand what mesmerizing quality it possesses.
It's just a trick.
The Last Halloween. A brother and sister are trying to enjoy Halloween, even though the family candy factory is going under. A crazy mad scientist is trying to find the secret to eternal youth, and aliens have come to Earth because they've run out of candy on Mars. That enough for you? Well, they had to get as many plots in as they could. This is the last one.
On the planet Mars, we have run out of a treat known as Kubi.
Kubi? That's candy. You mean Kubi is candy? You don't have any more candy on your whole planet?
Oh, first planet problems. And I know this sounds like 3 completely different plots, but it does actually meld together. A lot like a sack of candy left near a fire. You see, the mad scientist has been draining the lake nearby because... science. And this has stopped production at the candy factory.
We've spent money on dozens of tests to find out why the lake is drying up.
Well, I know, and they never seem to come up with anything conclusive. And in the meantime, I've got to rely on all this expensive electrical power.
And by electricity, you mean the industrial standard for about half a century, right? And I think it's amazing you've lasted this long using a water wheel because lakes are not rivers! So the kids are helping the aliens trick-or-treat to collect candy. Hey, it's Mars. This is probably like half of their race is. And one of the aliens gets kidnapped by the scientist. Because science. Yada yada yada, the bad guys get caught, the aliens get the candy, and the kids get an alien stone that refills the lake. I'm really not skipping a lot here. Although I wonder what the dad'll say when he finds out his last shipment of candy that he worked so hard to make suddenly disappeared.
Wait, merciful crap!
But there is one subplot about how the little girl is coming to terms with her dead mother, and they lay that on super thick.
Your mom was the greatest wisher I ever saw. And she always believed that Halloween was full of magic. The night we can make anything happen.
Was it the grateful aliens, or the loving spirit of the mother that refilled the lake? Aliens. It was obviously the aliens. Why would you even ask? This was actually produced by Hanna-Barbera, if you can believe it. A rare double dip into both live action and CGI animation. These guys were also part of a promotional tie-in with Mars Candy for the next couple years or so, which makes it strange that they didn't actually feature any of the brand name candy in the special. I guess they didn't want their product to be associated with a worn-out old watermill next to a bug-infested lake. And who just started making CG commercials for M&Ms at the time? Our old friend, Will Vinton. So, does that mean that his company animated the aliens? Then what exactly did Hanna-Barbera do then? I remember watching the special with my parents the night it aired and loving the CGI. And also it features Richard Mull as the henchman. Always the best facial expressions. But it hasn't aged too well. Not so much the effects, but the story. But still, it's a sweet, festive story that... Johnny Quest! Okay, yeah. Hanna-Barbera used CGI on the new adventures of Johnny Quest. Oh my god, that was gonna bug me forever if I didn't figure it out.